Good evening. Welcome to Epiphany Lutheran Church in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Kevin Barger, the Director of Music Ministries here, and we are taking a look at our Music Minute, which is when we look at our hymns that we'll be using in worship tomorrow. And we're going to start with our gathering hymn, Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise. This was written by John Roberts, and he was a self-taught musician who wrote down tunes from others and led singing for nearly half a century. This hymn in particular was written in about 1867, they believe. It undertook a major rewrite at a request in 1884, and the text and tune that we sing came together from Ralph Vaughan Williams. It's a really good match. It shows the strength and power and this mortal, invisible nature that we have. So this is a more reflective, whimsical sort of variation and arrangement of Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise. Oh, fun little arrangement there. Next, we are going to turn to our sending hymn, The Church of Christ in Every Age. And this was actually intended to address the relationship between Sabbath and Sunday. And when LBW, the Lutheran Book of Worship, was published back in 1978, the team asked the text writer if they could move stanza 2 to the end and omit completely stanza 4. So the writer actually responded that this actually greatly improved the hymn, and he had no problems with that, so he liked it much better. The tune was an English psalm tune, and now this tune actually has more than 100 hymns, so 100 different texts have been put to this tune. That's pretty amazing. Its name, Wareham, comes from the birthplace of the composer. So the Church of Christ in Every Age. We're going to keep with our mystical theme here. Makes it sound almost New Age, so we can think of the church lasting through every age. Next, we'll go to communion. This is we come to the hungry feast. We actually did this back earlier in the summer, in June, and it was written after hearing the Eucharist described as a hungry feast. So it talks about hungry for a word of peace, hungry for a world released from hungry people of every kind, and hungry for the hunger to cease. It was first published in 1984, so very different than the first one we had. It's not intended actually as a meditative prayer around the table. The intention is fully encouraging to follow where the Eucharist leads. It's to go from the table and serve a hungry world. This is, we come to the hungry feast. So it's a favorite during communion here that we do often. Last but not least would be the hymn of the day, and that is Canticle of the Turning. This is a paraphrase of the Magnificat. You might recognize it from that. The intent was to actually capture the revolutionary spirit of the gospel here, and it shows God as one who pulls down the mighty from their thrones and raises up the lowly. It's a dance-like tune. The syllables aren't the same throughout, so every verse has a little bit different alignment as to where things go, but that's suggestive of that revolutionary nature and the wildness of this. It's an Irish folk tune, and it's also a quasi-nationalistic song. Actually, the plot of this nationalistic song was to win over a beautiful girl, and the tune is often sung at rugby matches. So we won't be playing rugby tomorrow while we sing this for the hymn of the day, but you should know in case you need to, sing it at a rugby match sometime. This is Canticle of the Turning. So you can get your dancing ready, and you're ready for a rugby match now. Thanks again for joining tonight, and hope you enjoyed that. Tomorrow, if you're joining us in person, 8:30 and 11 o'clock in the sanctuary, the 11 o'clock service will be live streamed on our YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you next week.